So, tell me about, you know, when the first time all this actually started, the events going on around the property.
So we had talked about it before because my other friend had already had encounters.
Mm-hmm.
So we had kind of talked about it, and like we had discussed it, and like just kind of looking back, like, oh, like those things really could have, like, the things that we were like, what the heck was that? Like, could have been at the time what we thought it was Dogman.
Mm-hmm.
We went out coyote hunting one night, and the location that we were at is normally like really loud. There's lots of animals, like it's super loud.
Right.
That night it was like dead quiet.
Right.
Dead quiet.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think we got more than 30 feet from the truck that night. We stood out there for a minute. It was just eerily quiet. Like the hairs on the back of your neck stood up.
Mm-hmm.
So we all were like, we'll just go back. We were gonna come coyote hunt out here, and so we ended up like, you know, just messing around out in the woods, and I have a deer stand over here, and it had a hornet's nest or something up under it. So we got kerosene. We lit the thing on fire. We were standing out here in the middle of the field and like just goofing off, and like we had just kind of stopped, and we were all standing in a circle, and all of a sudden like there's this like deafening, like, and we all described it differently. It was like this deafening, like, guttural moan.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, all the coyotes in the area kicked up, everything. And then it went off again, and everything went quiet.
Well, I thought, Ben, get on your phone, pull up the Ohio moaning call on YouTube. Let her listen to that and tell me have you ever heard this call before?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, it was recorded in Ohio. And I'll Bigfoot.
Yeah, I don't think you can keep calling you daddy.
No, wait, go back down. Right here. Turn this all the way.
Yeah, there's ads.
Yeah. This was recorded in Columbia County, Ohio in '94. There's going to be an isolated clip right after this one. It's amplified on this one, so it's more clear.
Ours was more guttural.
Yeah, it was more like a dog howling, but like from its gut, and it was like we found, I don't remember if you were here that night, we found one sound that was fairly close to it, and now when you go back we can't find it.
Yeah.
It's gone.
We tried to find it.
It's removed from YouTube. Like, we had shared it in one of our chat groups, and it's gone.
Yeah.
There's no, you click on that link, it's
deep.
And it was a lot deeper than that.
Yeah, and not as long.
No, but like that kicked off. We all kind of just looked at each other, and we're like, what was that?
Mm-hmm.
And then like all the coyotes kicked up. It did it again, and then everything went silent. Not even bugs, nothing. And it was warm that night.
Yeah.
And it sounded like it came from, like, we were out here, and it sounded like it came from this direction.
To the north of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and we were standing out here in the middle of the field. That night, we all stood up on the porch. It was all four of us. you didn't dare step off the porch.
Mhm.
Like we had turned the lights off just so that way we could kind of see a little bit better, but none of us dared to step off the porch. You didn't. You had that feeling like you knew it was here.
Mhm.
I trust my dog explicitly, and she didn't leave my side that night.
Yeah.
Like, I'd walk to this end of the porch and she would be pinned to me. I'd walk to that end of the porch and she would stop halfway, like on guard, like protective,
Mhm.
but she wouldn't go past a certain point. But like we didn't leave the porch that night. All of a sudden, day breaks. You start hearing the birds chirp, and it was just kind of like this like relief.
Mhm.
It was gone. It was over. It was done. But like that was the first time that, like, for sure, especially because there were other people with me, that I was like, this is not normal. It wasn't a dog, it wasn't a wolf, it wasn't a coyote, it wasn't a mountain lion, a bobcat. Like, we have all those here, like, I know what those sound like. It wasn't any of those.
Mhm.
And like, and as far away as it seemed, it also seemed like it was right on top of us.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and it was just the creepiest feeling ever.
You were there that night and everything. I mean,
Yeah.
there was ever a time that you were out here apart from her, or was this all like whenever y'all were together? Like, what's the closest thing that's happened up close to the house?
So we have a lot of things in these woods right here on the other side of the barn. And then in the pines over here. The one encounter that I had by myself, I had left. Ben and one of our other friends, they were working at the same company, and I left to go get food. And it was late. It was probably like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and I had taken my dog with me. We went into town, and when I came back, she was like pinned up next to me, which is super unusual. She normally just chills out on the passenger seat. Bunch of deer, just like I've never seen deer run before.
Mhm.
Never. They just hauled ass from the pines across the field, and again, like, I didn't really think too much of it because I'm like, all right, you know, it's odd, but whatever. I just assumed it was something, mountain lion, bobcat, whatever, chasing them. So I pulled in. When I got here, my dog would not, she didn't want me to get out. Like, she jumped out of the truck over me, which she never gets out of the truck before me. Never, ever has she ever gotten out of the truck before me. And she jumped over me. And she pinned next to me the whole way up the walking path here. And, like, you could hear it pacing in the pine trees from here.
And how far is the pine trees from right here?
150,
And you could hear
yards.
that solid step. You could hear it. And it's pine needles out there. Pine needles definitely a lot.
Yeah.
So for you to be able to hear it, like, I could hear it just pacing back and forth. Like, I got up to the porch, like, I couldn't get my key in the door fast enough.
Right.
I called my friend. I was like, hey. And they were together, and I was like, and he was like, get the dog and get out. He was like, just go. So I went, sat in the Walmart parking lot for a while. He was like, and I stayed on the phone with, I think, you and him for a while that night, and then, like, I finally was like, all right, I'm gonna try to go home. And like, when I got home, it was normal.
Didn't it
fine.
howl whenever you were getting close
Yeah,
to the door?
like
Because didn't it
It's,
ricochet off the?
yeah, because like the issue
barn?
here is if something's over here, howling, coyotes, whatever. It's really hard to distinguish because of the barn. You have to actually have to step out into the yard somewhere and figure out where it's coming from. And like, same thing. It was that kind of like guttural moan. Like, I couldn't get my keys in fast enough. Like, I couldn't even. Like, I felt like I couldn't keep my wits about me.
Was you here by yourself?
Mm-hmm. That night it was. My husband at that time was working in Georgia. My son was at his grandparents' house.
Mm-hmm.
It was just me. At that time I parked out in the driveway. I didn't park in the barn. I've never really ever felt scared out here by myself. But like I couldn't even process my thoughts. Like I didn't even know like if I went to take a step, if my foot was gonna go in front of me like it should. Like
Right.
but like you could just hear it. Like I got in the house, got the gun, called a friend. I was like, hey. He's like, just get out. He's like, run back to the truck. Take Pap with you if you can. Like get out to the truck. Just go. Just haul ass out. So I did. I was gone for probably about an hour or so. Came back and it was normal. Like nothing. Like I didn't feel uneasy. The dog was fine. There were zero. Like it was just like a normal night, like coming home. There's been times out here. My husband was not a non-believer, not a skeptic. He was like he'd joke about it with us. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, it's dog man," you know.
Mhm.
I'd be like, "Shut up." Until he was out here one night and he heard it running through the woods over here.
Mhm.
There's been several times where we have sat out here on the porch, you know, fully prepared for something to walk out of that woods. Like, I am to that point where every time I come outside, I expect to see it. Like, it feels like it's that close now. Like, it's that, I don't know. Like, it just doesn't care anymore. Like, it's not, like, every time, like, I step outside, I'm like, it's just gonna be standing there. The last big one that we had, we were out here, my friend and I were out here, and something had moved through the woods over in this area. I started to walk up to the porch and I turned around and he was getting something out of the truck, and a tree branch, a not just like a little one, like a whole freaking tree branch, like you could hear it get thrown through the woods. It didn't just fall. It wasn't, I mean, you know how a tree falls and it'll break and it just kind of hit things down. Like this, you could hear it come up and then go down. Like you could hear that it was thrown. He grabbed his stuff, we went inside. I looked through this window here. I had opened the shades, like we had turned the lights off and stuff. Again, just kind of have that advantage, like if the lights are on, or if the lights are off, like you can't necessarily see us moving. So I had peeked out this window here, and just past like where that rock pile is, there's some hay bales over there that we use to shoot our bows and stuff at. And I know that like I saw, you know, a shadow over there pacing. And then it was gone.
Was that before or after you got the dusted on light over here?
That was while the light was on.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like almost like it was right at the edge, so you couldn't make out any shapes, you couldn't do anything like that, but you could see it, especially looking through this window. Like if you looked over the rock pile, right where it goes in a little bit, so it's a little bit blacker right there, like that's just kind of where it seemed like it was standing. You couldn't really make anything out, other than just big and black, like figure.